Decarlos Brown, the man who stabbed an innocent woman on a Charlotte train to death, is facing major prison time. But one of my sources inside a North Carolina state prison has just informed me that boredom and bad food is not the only thing awaiting Decarlos once he gets there. A very specific gang is very angry and has their crosshairs on him already. As someone who did 10 years recently in a Carolina prison himself, I'll tell you exactly what my sources inside are telling me. Let's get started. So, again, normally I would try to do a quick recap for anyone who's not familiar with the case, but honestly, I feel like if you clicked on this video and the video I did yesterday about Decarlos, the murderer, and what his prison experience will be like, you probably already know about this case. And so just want to dive right into it. Here's the thing. There, according to my sources, who is an inmate inside prison in North Carolina State Prison right now, which I'm in South Carolina, I have many sources in there. So I'm hoping that whatever yard he eventually goes to, I will have one of my sources there. And if I don't, they can always get in touch with other people using their contraband cell phones and link me in, and we can always get updates and hopefully get that glorious update one day, maybe a year or so in the future from now, that karma and prison justice has come around to meet Decarlos Brown Jr. Now, I know a lot of you in the last video said, Jumpsuit Pablo, you're talking about North Carolina state prisons. Doesn't matter. He's charged federally. He has federal charges. Yes, he does. He is charged with, more specifically, it's the federal charge has to do with him doing something extremely violent on a form of public transportation, the train. That's what that is. Will he get found guilty? I'm sure he will. Yes. I mean, there's video right there. Yes, he has federal charges. Here's the thing. To correct you, I'm sorry. He also has a state charge for first-degree murder. Now, maybe, I don't know how they do things in North Carolina, but every state that I'm familiar with and every case I'm familiar with, people who have state charges and federal charges that they get found guilty of, you usually have to serve the state time before federal time. I know this because during my 10 years, I saw plenty of people who were in state prison with me and they were serving a certain amount of time. And I saw 2 or 3 different people's release date for that state charge come right there in front of my eyes. And they were like, oh, I think I'm going to be released. My family's coming to pick me up. I'm going to go home. And then as soon as they set foot into the parking lot, there's a vehicle waiting for them. It's the feds, federal officers, marshals. And they're like, hey, buddy. Congratulations, you finished your state time. We're here to pick you up and take you down to federal prison so that now you can serve your federal prison time for that federal charge you have. Saw it happen time and time again, and I think there's no more perfect, this is going to be different because this is making headlines everywhere, and he's very, there's a spotlight on him. He's in the news, so Jumpsuit Pablo, I don't think... Perfect example, Alec Murdaugh. He has been found guilty of state charges and been found guilty of federal charges. Guess where he's at? South Carolina State Prison, the place I just left 3 years ago. He will serve that time there, and he's working on appeals. And let's just say he wins his appeal and he gets a new trial, and he's, who knows? He pulls it off and gets found not guilty, and he doesn't have that state murder charge anymore. Guess what? He's still going to have to go do the federal time. But that just shows you, nobody was more infamous than Alec Murdaugh. Okay, a few years ago. So state charges and federal charges this guy has. I don't see any way he could ever not get found guilty of both. Okay, so he will have to serve his state time before federal time. And if he's sentenced into state time, there's like an 85-90% chance it's going to be for the rest of his life. And so all that to say, yes, this is all relevant because he will be doing a lot of time in a couple of decades in state prison. Okay. Now that we got that cleared up, he's not going to have a good time there from what my people are telling me in North Carolina state prisons. You know why? It's because last video, we talked about his gang affiliations, his family members' gang affiliations, and showed proof and photos of them throwing up gang signs and the tattoos, the Charlotte Hornet tattoo, and the underlying gang connotation that has. But let's talk about on the flip side. Those are predominantly black gangs that we talked about last video. Let's talk about the other side. There are white gangs, exclusively white gangs that do exist in North Carolina. Is that hard to believe? Come on, we're in the Carolinas. Okay, there are white supremacist gangs there. To be more specific, the Aryan Brotherhoods and a branch off of that called the Aryan Kings, have a very heavy and very deadly, dangerous presence, very violent presence in North Carolina state prison system. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why they're pissed at him. I mean, obviously, there's a black guy and he killed a white woman. Yes, and that's awful. And I get, yeah. Well, white people aren't going to like that. These white supremacist gang, they're going to be pissed. As a black guy, he killed a white woman. Yes, you're right. But there's something he said that you may already be aware of, but I'm going to play a clip for you so you can hear the audio yourself in just a few seconds. This is what really sent them over the edge once they saw this hit the media. This is what has made them out for blood against him, because essentially by what he said, just one sentence, just a few words, he might as well have declared war against the white supremacy gangs, and they're up for a war if you want one, just as any other gang is, black, white, whatever. Let me just show you the clip. Here it is. Do I really even need to elaborate or break down why this gang, these two gangs, are very upset about this situation? You heard him loud and clear. What's the motivation here? Oh, he got that white woman. That's why he did it. And that is why he's going to meet his justice in prison. According to my source, these guys have it out for him. They're waiting. They're rubbing their hands, licking their chops, waiting for him to get there. Specifically, the Aryan Brotherhood, who, let me just pull this up. For example, you have this member, an Asheville white supremacist sentenced to 13 years for meth trafficking. This was 2020. Means he's still there. There are not many maximum security state prisons in North Carolina, so it's almost a guarantee. This guy's going to maximum security prison when he gets found guilty. Very good chance he'll be around this guy. A local member of the Aryan Brotherhood, a white supremacist gang, has been sentenced to 13 years in prison for trafficking charges. Jonathan Ray Adams, 34, of Asheville. Okay. Now, let me pull this up. David Millum. He is the founder and leader of a subsection of the white supremacist gang, which is the Aryan Brotherhood, who call themselves the Aryan Kings. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison back in 2023. Now, he was sentenced for drug charges, possession of a firearm illegally, and also assaulting a federal officer. This guy, this is where I'm just trying to paint the picture of how violent this gang is. Here's the leader. He was arrested for assaulting a federal officer. And then on top of that, let me scroll down here. to tell you what he's been up to since being in jail for the charge of assaulting an officer. He's assaulted more officers. It says on July 23rd, 2021, officers searched Millam's cell for illegal contraband. Millam refused to leave the cell and punched an officer in the face. A second officer was also injured trying to subdue him. These guys, they don't mess around. They don't mess around. Okay? They have a very heavy, violent, dangerous presence in North Carolina state prison system, and they have found their new target, their new motivation to wake up in the morning and work out, train, and stay dangerous. This guy, Decarlos Brown Jr., they're pissed. By saying what he said, you might as well have declared war against the Aryan kings and the Aryan Brotherhood themselves. They're waiting on him. Take that how you want and allow that to give you whatever emotions it does. It's not up to me. That's for you. I'm just here to give you the information. That's what's happening. They're pissed and they're ready to get him. Okay. Now, a few things before I end this video. You should also know, just like with the Carmelo Anthony situation, a GoFundMe was almost immediately created on behalf of Decarlos Brown Jr., as you see here. And it was, to their credit, GoFundMe took it down because they realized this is just racially motivated donations for someone who murdered a woman, you know? So it was taken down before it could even raise like 10K. But as we know with Carmelo and other similar cases, Give, Send, Go is a platform that exists. It's basically a copycat of GoFundMe, and they have no rules, no regulations. And that is how Carmelo was able to raise over $500,000, where every donation was accompanied with a comment that said, yeah, way to go, way to stick it to white people and show them that we're not messing around anymore. We'll kill you. Just hateful, hateful stuff. I haven't done it yet. I should have did it before this video, but I'm going to go check after this video and I'll give you an update on the next one because I'm going to be covering this case. Trust me. It's added to the list. I bet you I can go find a fundraiser on Give, Send, Go for this guy for legal funds or whatever, only because people are glad that he killed a white woman and he's black. Look at this photo. The terror. I mean, it's ridiculous, you know? And then on top of that, look at this clip here. We have a leaked jail call recording between him and his close associate, maybe family member or ex-girlfriend, where she's kind of questioning him. Why did you do it? Why her? And what made you do it? He's basically blaming, you know, he has been diagnosed with schizophrenia, which in my last video, I was not aware of this when I said it, but in my last video, I voiced the theory. He was sentenced to 6 years and he served 6 years in prison back in 2012, 2013, 2015, something like that. He served 6 years. I said, I guarantee you those 6 years, something happened in there. He was either doing K2, spice, some type of substance, or something traumatic happened to him, or just the overall experience, which can absolutely deteriorate your mental health if you're not strong enough already mentally. I guarantee you that's when his mental state started to decline. I found an article 20 minutes before I started making this video where a news station contacted his mother, and she confirmed that she had him evaluated once he came home and was released from prison after those 6 years, because once he came home, he was absolutely just extremely aggressive, much more aggressive, just not himself. Something was different. And I was like, yep, I called it. I thought so. Prison screwed him up. Because once he came home, it was not long after coming home from those 6 years, he assaulted his own sister and got locked back up for a very brief period of time. But that's when he started attacking women and attacking people. Very, very unhinged. But anyways, here's the clip of him saying that someone put material in his body, and whoever controls the material that's in his body made him stab this innocent woman. Take a look.
You said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material using my body to stab the lady.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they gotta investigate the material my body exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they gotta investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine. She's from Russia, and they got a war. They had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
Hey, it ain't. I don't have nothing. Hey, they just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Who else was working the album? Who was working the material? Whoever was working the material? They lashed out on her.
I know any sensible person out there, insane person, I know you're angry. You're pissed. How dare you're blaming this on material in your body. And then there's even some people out there who are like, oh, well, it's absolutely awful what happened. I mean, it's heartbreaking. What a tragedy. But he has mental issues, so he needs mental help. Maybe so. But I'd like to tell you about this. Take this little tidbit of information. All this started happening after he got out of prison. Most people, once they get out of prison, because you're living in an active war zone 24/7, you do become more aggressive and more violent. That does not mean that you are mentally unaccountable and just unable to be in control of your physical actions. Okay. On top of that, there is something that is frequently taught and passed down and passed along in prison and jails where people give tips on how to portray themselves as crazy and more importantly, mentally incompetent to stand trial. I've seen people who they could beat you in a card game. They could they could checkmate you in chess. And then when the officers come around with your food trays, they will take their milk and open it up and dump it out right there on the floor in front of you and then splash around in it barefoot and start screaming. But they're very intelligent, very coherent, very present in this reality. There is nothing mentally wrong with them. They're doing these things to pretend to be mentally incompetent to stand trial in hopes that they will beat the system in some way by convincing the judge, solicitor, prosecutor, jury, etc., that they are mentally incompetent. I've seen people they will hold 2-hour long conversations with you and just, they are absolutely all there just as much as anyone else. But the night before they go to court, they'll take a razor and shave lines and like weird abstract patterns into their head to make themselves look crazy and just unhinged and just they're a spectacle. What's up with this guy's hair? He's got just driveways and intersections shaved into his afro or whatever. And they go in there and they have planned and plotted to say silly, ridiculous things to play the role of being mentally incapable of seeing accountability for what you've done. It's a whole hustle. It's a prison hustle. It's a jail hustle. It's a get out of jail card, I don't know this man's mental state. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist. He may have actual schizophrenia and actual mental problems. He may not. He may not. I'm just offering up to you the information that it does exist. The action of people in jail or in prison, which he spent 6 years there, and he had plenty of time to learn and adopt into his own thinking when he decides to go out and commit a crime like this. There are ways to convince people that you are crazy and get out of heavier consequences for your actions. Just throwing that out there. Now, on a lighter note, I would like to say the victim, Irina Zaritska, just like him, a GoFundMe has been started, but this time hers has not been taken down, and she has raised already, let me see. I know I have it saved here. Even Elon Musk has pledged $1 million to her fund. And then very controversial influencer, content creator, person on the internet, Andrew Tate, sure you know the name, he commented under this and says, I'll match it. $1 million done. Where's the link? I would say that's at least $2 million already raised on her behalf for her family, her funeral, and more. So, no matter how you feel about those two people, if there's $2 million going to her, an innocent woman who was sitting on the train, minding her business and was murdered for simply being a woman and for being white, I'm glad for it. I'm glad for the donations. I don't care how you feel about these people. So, there's that. There's your update. And it sounds like once this guy, probably next year in 2026, finally gets to prison, finally gets behind bars, I don't care if it's for 1 year or 101 years, somebody's going to be there to greet him. And it ain't going to be a handshake. It's going to be some cold, hard iron getting rammed into his organs. You heard it here first. Remember, when you see the headlines next year, you heard it here first. Hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions you have or anything you'd like me to elaborate on or ask my sources about or further investigate on, I guess I'm somewhat of a prison journalist now. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do, and I see if I can, get that information to you. I bet I can. Until then, I'll see you next time.